Top of the world. Top of the world. Yeah, top of the world. Top of the world. Yeah, top of the world. Top of the world. Yeah, top of the world. Top of the world.
And we are, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Worst Ones podcast. It's a group full of PKs living the sinful life, making our parents proud. My name is Rudy Wilson. I got in the building all the way from Las Vegas, Nevada. Of course, Janessa is visiting us from Atlanta, and Kellie Lee will be pulling up momentarily.
Hotland.
Not yet, but it's getting there.
It's still cool there. I guess it's still winter.
It's cold out here, man. Last night it was like down in the high 40s, low 50s out here.
Yeah. Vegas can get a little chilly at night time.
Yeah, it's the desert. People don't ever realize that. Like I'm here with my girlfriend, and she's like, I thought the desert was supposed to be hot, and I'm like, yeah, during the day,
right.
and then at night it's the exact opposite.
For sure. And Vegas is pretty tricky because, like, they only show you the strip, but like Vegas is hood as shit off that strip. Like, you leave that strip.
If you leave, stay. It's the same thing as like when you go to Jamaica or Tijuana. Like, stay in the resort area. Like, there's nothing out there for you. Nothing.
I haven't been to Las Vegas since I was a kid, so I don't really remember it. But I'm going in September. And so I'm like in shock to hear that it's the hood outside.
If you need some tips, I got you.
Please, I'm excited.
I've been here multiple times. I'm not a huge gambler. I like poker and craps sometimes, but that's it. Like, I just play with it. Like, I'm not one of these gambling types, but I love like the shows and the restaurants and just the atmosphere. Come out here and just like walk around, do nothing, you know.
Right.
Can you actually win though when you gamble?
Like frozen drinks, you know.
Like the slot machines and stuff. Can you actually win, or are they like rigged so that you don't win?
I'm up $250 so far.
And how much did you have to spend?
I don't play slot machines, but played a little roulette, little craps. Or no, I haven't played craps yet. But that was blackjack. I started with 100 and ended with 350. So
okay.
Yeah.
I don't really know how to play, so
yeah.
I'm gonna need some help.
I mean, blackjack is. I mean, because that's just 21. But like, as far as like roulette and stuff like that, I mean, yeah, I'm not.
Well, I always do the same thing. Every time I've ever come to Vegas, I always do the same thing. I walk in the first casino I walk in. The first roulette table I see, I take out $100 and I put it on black. And then that, to me, that's like my little, like a lucky charm or something like that. Right. Because I usually end up winning, and they just give me 100, and then I just walk away, and that's it. And I remember the first time I did it, it's because of the guy's reaction. There's this old black guy sitting there playing different numbers, stuff like that. But I got a very Bagger Vance vibe off of him, right? Like the magical black guy,
right.
Magical old black guy. And I said, you know what? I'm just going to play 100 on black. And I won, and I grabbed my chips, and I went to walk away. And he looked at me and he goes, "That's how you do it, son."
That's how you do it. What hotel are you staying in?
I'm staying at 3 hotels while I'm here. I stayed the first night at the Mirage, which was a nightmare. It's a terrible hotel. Never go there.
Really?
As far as strip hotels go, I've been to a bunch of them. It was the first time I've been there. It's terrible hotel.
Terrible.
Now I'm at this suite in the Hilton, Alara, which is amazing. These windows back here that you see, they have a shade that comes down, and then the projector starts, and this whole window turns into 80-inch television.
What is that one?
Yeah.
What is it called?
The Alara.
Oh.
Oh, I mean, well, if we're gonna do it, let's do it.
If we're gonna
you know?
do it,
You
Give
know,
us the tour.
those of you not watching on YouTube, you have to come to YouTube to see the tour of Terry's room.
yeah, that's right.
Yeah, fancy.
That's right.
Okay, I see you.
Shade.
Yeah, but then you come over here. It's a big
Oh,
two-person.
Oh yeah,
I like all the mirrors.
Yeah, and then they got
Oh yeah.
dual showers.
Oh yeah. Oh wow.
Oh, yeah.
Oh wow.
Oh yeah. No. I'm a Mac Daddy. Don't.
I'm a Mac Daddy.
Well, since you're a Mac Daddy, you should send me $100 for me to go spend in this when I go in September.
Well, I'll tell you the same thing I tell everybody. Like, I'll tell you what. I'll go to one of those wheel machines, right? And
The
I'll
what?
put $5 in, and if it wins, I'll pay you. If it loses, you lost.
Okay.
You said which machine?
Huh?
You said which machine?
Well, either a slot machine or they have those the big wheels out here,
Right.
where you just pick like a dollar amount, and they got the big they got the big wheel worth of currency floating around. I'm placing a long bet. That's what I always do. I place a long bet for the people who aren't here, and if it wins, I'll pay them.
I see you got a good view of the Eiffel Tower too.
Oh yeah, the Paris hotels behind us, and the
Yeah.
Bellagio and all that.
So what's the other hotel you stayed at? You said you stayed at, right?
Oh yeah, the Mirage. It's the Hilton until Friday, and then Friday night I'm at Caesar's Palace. So.
Ooh,
And
fancy.
you leaving when?
Hey, you only turn 40 once. Let's do some stuff. You know what I mean?
You
If
also
I'm gonna turn 40. I'm gonna
How
act
was
like
your
I'm
birthday?
20 for a week.
This is all your birthday celebration?
Yeah, well, this was my gift to myself, was to come out here for 5 days and not have to go to work. I was working like 14, 15-hour days for the past year.
Right.
Didn't take any time off, and it was too much after a while. So I was like, let's take 5 days for the birthday and just take a vacation. Get out of here.
That's lit.
Yeah.
What's up?
Yeah. Everybody else gets to stay home, but I'm in one of those essential industries. So I still, not only did I have to go out, but since the real estate business was so booming, it was like,
It's booming.
yeah, no, I was working my ass off for the last year.
Right.
Everybody else is sitting at home in their sweats.
Right. That's lit, man.
Yeah.
Well, congrats to you, man. You definitely deserve it.
Thank you.
Happy 40th birthday, Terry.
Well, and let me help segue. I know Rudy's trying to get on with this, so let me help segue.
Well, believe it or not, I was actually trying to wait for Kellie to get here, but I don't think she's coming in the time frame she said. So we can definitely
10
move
minutes.
on.
Really,
Okay,
30?
yeah, we were at 10, so I thought like, oh, he's trying to move us on. Okay, well, let's get to the topic then. I'm in Sin City, so let's talk about sin. Let's
All
talk
right.
about what the things, because I distinctly remember growing up thinking things like, oh, that's a sin. I have to be ashamed of that. You know, I have to be worried about that because that's a sin. And then I grew up and I was like, wait a second, that can't possibly be a sin. Like when I was a teenager, it was smoking, you know. If you went off and had a cigarette with your friends, it's like, oh my God, if the church knew, they'd be so upset.
Right.
Because it's such a sin. And then you grow up and you learn like, oh wait, there weren't even cigarettes, like hadn't even been invented when they wrote the Bible. So, you know what I mean?
About that.
Like, how could it possibly be a sin? You know? But I think that was more the culture and less the religion, you know?
Right.
Just the culture of whatever they thought. Now, there's an argument to be made that it makes you a bad steward, you know? It basically makes you a foolish person, but stuff like that. Just and now weed's becoming more legal. When that was, again, when I was a teenager, that was looked at like,
For sure.
like if you wanted to get weed, you had to go and risk your life, you know? Like you had to drive to the worst part of town and just kind of hope that, you know, somebody either had a hookup or, you know, maybe you met a guy at the gas station or whatever.
Right.
Now I just went to a store and paid for it with my Visa. Like,
Yeah.
is that? Yeah. So I guess that's my topic is like things change. Religion doesn't, you know. So what were the sins when you were a kid that now you kind of grew up and you were like, well, that's not really a sin. I mean, it's not a great decision, but a sin, like, is God going to hate me for smoking some weed or having a bottle of wine?
Well, before you go into that, Terry, I just want to know, in your opinion, do you think that weed was in the Garden of Eden?
You know, I don't know. I mean, if the Garden of Eden actually existed, right? Which again, I'm always going to be the guy that says I don't know if it did or not. But if it existed, I think there was probably something better. You know, you had the tree of life, and it's like who looks at like the tree of life and then the tree of knowledge of good and evil and then goes, hey, but where's the weed? You know what I mean? Like if I had the tree of life, I wouldn't need weed. You know, there's some people that make the argument that the tree of life, the tree of good and evil, the knowledge of good and evil was weed.
I literally was getting ready to say the same thing.
That is a.
I've never said it.
I've never heard of that.
I've never
said
it
a
out.
theory going around that the tree of the knowledge of good and evil was weed, and that when you ate it or you smoked
That's
it,
what gave you
then
the
you became more aware.
And listen to me. I've never said it out loud, but I literally had this thought the other freaking day. I was like, I wonder, because see, we always equate it to being an apple, but the Bible never says it's an apple. It just says fruit.
No, they came up with that during the Renaissance when they painted the pictures.
Fruit. It never specifies what type of fruit.
They added it during the Renaissance to those pictures, and then it just became part of the doctrine. You know.
Now, mind you, I'm not saying that it was weed. I'm not saying that. But I definitely had the thought, because if you think about...
Well, I'll tell you what it wasn't. It wasn't an apple, because apples are not indigenous to that region of the world. So definitely wasn't an apple. It was something, but it wasn't an apple.
But I definitely thought about that. Is the point I'm making. Like what if it was marijuana?
There's if you go online, there is a whole, you can go
right. For sure, I believe it. I believe it totally. But I literally had this thought not even 7 days ago.
So when you get high, it just makes you knowledgeable. Is that the thing?
I don't know. Have you ever smoked weed?
I plead the fifth.
Well, don't say, oh, what, you kind of gave yourself away. You tipped your hand when you were like, so what does weed make you feel like? And it's like, if you smoked it, you would know what weed makes you feel like.
I don't know. So explain it to me, Terry.
Well, let me say this before you explain it.
When you smoke weed, you just feel more relaxed. And when you feel more relaxed, you kind of look at, sometimes you can go down that rabbit hole and you just think about bigger things, you know? You think about like, oh, what is life really about? You know, what is existence? What are we doing around here? Why do I care so much about work, or why do I care so much about money? Like, there's a million different roads you can go down. Some people just get paranoid and go, oh my God, this is terrible.
What you gonna say, Kelly?
I was going to ask in his explanation. I heard that there were different strands of weed, sativa and indica, and one is more cognitive, intellectual, and the other one is.
Well, according to my weed barista that I went to see today, the pre-rolled Willie Nelson joints that I bought were a hybrid where there's a mixture of the two types that gives you like a nice clear mind, but also makes you really relaxed. Like it's more medicinal than anything else.
Hey, listen to me, Kelly. It's just, listen, that's just like saying like you could drink, just say like Hennessy, right? And Hennessy is probably like 70 proof, 80 proof, whatever, right? Typical liquor. And then you could drink like black gin, that's like 102, right? Now, if you only drink Hennessy once a month when you just happen to go to like a little cocktail hour or something like that, if you then switch to like something stronger, you probably gonna be drunk as hell. If you drink Hennessy every day,
well,
that black gin not gonna knock you off your socks like that. Like, it's just gonna be, you know what I'm saying? It's gonna be another drink because your tolerance will be up there. So the point I'm making is that, like, trust me, if you smoke enough weed, like, the only way you're gonna know a difference is if the weed sucks. You know what I'm saying? But in the sense,
well,
of,
that's
like,
not true. That
no. But I'm
But
saying in the sense of it, like the whole indica, and it, like, they say indica means in the couch. You know, like you stuck,
Right.
like you can't move, and then like you can be up and
yeah, but sativa is more of an
me.
energetic kind of high
Listen
where
to me.
it makes you want to go out.
Indica in the couch.
Listen to me though. I operate on this stuff the same. Is what I'm telling you. Like, people be asking me, "Oh, which one?" I don't care about indicas. I just want to know the percentage of THC that is in it, because that's what's gonna matter as far as being high. Like in sativa and all that stuff. That's what people who don't smoke like. Listen to me. That's for people who don't smoke like that, who don't have a tolerance. But I'm telling you, if you get a lot of tattoos, that's gonna be a difference if you get a tattoo on your neck as opposed to somebody who's never gotten a tattoo before. You feel what I'm saying? Like, when you build up your tolerance, all of that stuff eventually goes out the window. Is the point that I'm making. I'm not saying
there is definitely a difference between sativa and indica. It definitely is
for people who don't smoke like that. That's the point that I'm making. But if you have a tolerance, I'm telling you it doesn't.
No, even if you got virgin lungs, there's a difference between those two things and the way they make you feel. It's kind of like
I'm saying have it with virgin lungs is the point that I'm making.
I had a joke in my act about the difference between weed and alcohol and how they make you act, you know. And like, we all have a friend that goes to the bar, gets too drunk, and then tries to fight everybody. It's like, that shit doesn't happen on weed. You don't get too high and then get violent. Like, it just doesn't. You get too high and then get too hungry. But the difference between sativa and indica is, one makes you way more relaxed and it makes you kind of want to take a nap and go to sleep. And then the other one, the sativa, that makes you want to go out and, like, oh, we're going to work on the car, or, you know,
and
we're going to go see a show.
I'm telling you, you're right, Terry. But that's for people who don't have a high tolerance. That's all I'm saying. Because I'm telling you from experience, I've smoked both. And I don't ever be in the couch. Ever.
Oh, I've been in the couch many times.
Ever.
And, but even with the virgin lungs, I see, like, there's definitely a difference in the mood. It's decaf or caffeinated, you know, that's the difference.
But I think the real question behind the question that you asked today is it a sin? Okay, we can talk about tolerance whenever we want to. But is it a sin? Is smoking weed a sin? You even brought up smoking cigarettes, Terry. Is that a sin? You say cigarettes didn't exist in Bible days. I mean, I don't know that. I take your word for it, I guess. You know what I'm saying? Probably need to do a little Wikipedia search. But I even looked at the definition of sin, and according to
Webster,
Google, whoever this is, an immoral act considered to be a transgression against divine law. So I guess we just need to know what's against the law.
Well, against divine law, that's the thing. So you can already take out alcohol. You can already take out weed, because, again, there's no mention of it in the Bible at all. It's just something we decided as modern Christians. And when I say modern, I mean the last 200 years. We decided it was bad.
So let's just say, like, so when it comes down to, like, somebody was doing meth, so that ain't got nothing to do with sin. That's just It's just wrong.
I don't think it is. No, I don't think it's a sin. I think it's a sickness. The same way that I look at any addict, you know, on the street, or any meth head or any heroin addict or anything. That's a mental illness. It's a sickness. It absolutely.
Right. No, I'm not arguing that, but I'm saying in the sense of it being right and wrong in the eyes of God. I'm saying
right. So I don't think God cares. I don't think he cares about it.
Correct me.
I think he cares about you as a person, but I don't think he cares if you're on meth. I think he wants you to be healthy, and I think he wants you to be your best. So obviously that would be no meth, but I think he would look on him. I think God, if Jesus came back tomorrow, I think he would look at a meth head and have sympathy, not judgment.
For sure.
I mean, I think you already know he's gonna be a meth head too.
Yeah. No, I think we could definitely change the way we perceive drug abuse, especially hard drugs. And I'm not talking about like Rudy smoking his blunts over here. That's good old fashioned family fun. But
Family fun.
but like I've had people come through my life that were like addicted to synthetic heroin, you know, where they had to smoke blues all the time and like shit like that. It's sad. It's just sad to see. You know what I mean?
For sure.
I never feel judgment. I hate the people who walk by people like that and go, "Oh, God, just wasted your life or whatever." It's like, come on, man. That's what put that person there, is that kind of judgment.
Right.
Like,
What you gonna take, Kelly?
Well, I had a question about, I guess, it's smoking weed is sin.
Right.
yeah.
So, at some point, weed was illegal
Right.
in all 50 states, correct?
Well, it was legal, and then they made it illegal back in the 30s.
Okay.
It used to be sold at every tobacco shop, but then they made it illegal in the 30s. Most people say they did it because of the lobbying from the tinder industry, you know, because they were starting to figure out that you could use hemp to make paper and make clothing and all this other stuff. And the tinder industry spent a lot of money to lobby against it to get it criminalized, so that way they wouldn't lose their business, essentially.
So it was a money move and not a health or something.
Just like everything else in the world, it's all about the cream. You know, cash rules everything.
And I guess I was going to ask if, so let's say in our lifetime, as we were growing up in church as preachers' kids, learning about what was sin, what wasn't sin, weed was illegal, which for me would say that it was at one point a sin. No.
Well, it can be defined as a sin only because Jesus said to follow the rules of man, follow the laws of man. He did say that if man makes laws, you should follow them. However, what would he say about America now when there's so many states where it's legal and so many states where it isn't?
Right. And so then that, so it being a sin growing up.
But see, I gotta argue against that though. I gotta argue against that because that's almost like saying like when slavery was legal, niggas was wrong for running away. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yes, but this is one of the big flaws in religion. Like, I'll tell you the greatest joke I ever heard. I heard it from Ricky Gervais on one of Seinfeld's comedians in Cars. It's not his joke, but he heard it and then he repeated it. But it makes so much sense. It's like, so there's a Holocaust survivor, right? Makes it through the Holocaust, immigrates to America, dies an old man, all right? Natural causes. He goes to heaven. He meets God. And God looks down on him, and then he turns around and he tells a Holocaust joke to God. And then God says, "Hey, that's not funny." And then the guy says, "Well, I guess you had to be there." Do you see what I'm saying? Like, it's such a layered joke. It says, like, well, if God was there, he let it happen. But if he wasn't there, he didn't have the empathy to change it. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, that's,
I do, but
when you talk about bad things happening in the world,
but I'm saying,
but
I'm saying, but what you're saying is something different than what I'm saying. Like, what you're saying is absolutely correct, 100%. But what I'm saying to Kelly's point about us, something being a sin because it was technically legal or illegal at a time. And what I'm saying is, like, slavery was legal at a point in time. And I'm not making this a black and white thing. I'm not making a black and white thing. I'm just saying to the degree
everybody did.
It was legal at one point in time. And so to say that people who wanted to get out of that and ran away, that they were sinning because they were going against the laws of the land.
Right. But we have slave owners on our currency. we put them on Mount Rushmore.
Right, but that's
But,
something.
well, here's the question. I'm saying if we put them on Mount Rushmore and they own slaves, does that make them bad people?
That's fine, but that's not what I'm talking about. What I'm saying is,
Right.
to Kellie's point specifically about weed was legal or illegal at one point in time, and so
Right.
would that be considered a sin back when it was illegal?
I hear your point.
Right.
I think that's an excellent counterpoint to my point. I don't know the answer to it, but it's an extra counterpoint.
Well, right, and I just was trying to make that clear because,
right,
just what I was saying specifically, like, because once again, Terry, the points that you were just making are accurate, but that just wasn't.
Well,
the point that I was
I'm actually, it's my fault because I was distracted. I was writing a different article, but it was about how we now in this society we're judging people with our yardstick from 100 years ago or 200 years ago, and it's like I'm 40 years old. I remember growing up in the 80s and the 90s. Everything was crazy different then. I can't imagine how different it must have been 200 years ago.
Right.
You know what I mean? But we use our calibration to judge them, and it's like I just don't think that's fair. You know.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
like that?
It's what's in the news right now. Everybody's complaining about everything. So.
I don't know, because like I didn't think about it from Kellie's perspective, considering like following the law of the land, the main,
Right.
Because nowadays, especially like 2021, so many states are legal, and then even like the states where it's not legal, there's like I guess exemptions for people who have health conditions and
it's medically legal. Even
like in Florida, if you get a medical card in Florida, you can buy legal weed. I had one. Like,
and from my understanding, it's not that hard to get a medical card. Like,
it isn't.
I gotta get a doctor's note. So
no, it isn't
at all.
No, you don't even need a doctor's note. You can go to specific doctors that are just there to, and you don't even have to say anything medical. You can just be like, I like the way that weed makes me feel. And they'll be like, yeah, weed's awesome. Here's your card. And that's it. That's all they do.
They ain't tripping like that.
So, and I do believe we're going to get to a point where it is going to become legal, but not because it's going to become legal for a money standpoint.
That was, but it was all political to begin with.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, if the government actually cared about you, these cigarettes would be illegal and weed would be legal, because one of those things is going to kill you and one of them is just going to make you waste your money on pizza and cupcakes.
Which will then kill you.
Well, everything's going to kill you. So it's like, live your life. That's it. I'm trying to take the positive stance on the second half of my life. I woke up, so let's do it.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a tricky one. But I do look.
How about this? How about the fact that, like, I'm in Nevada right now. There are people in jail right now. There are people that had their freedom taken away from them and are still in jail right now on crimes that are now legal. You know what I mean? Like they're in jail for selling weed or distributing weed or whatever, and they're still fucking there for something that now, if they did it now, they could get a business license and be legit.
Well, let me ask you this, because we're talking about all this, possible, maybe not sins. Let's talk about the ones that definitely are, and we still do it.
Sex before marriage. How about that one? Let's throw that in there.
I think that's the main one. Because I think for most people, I would say that like if anybody had like a struggle when it comes down to just say like trying to live the Christian life, for lack of a better term, like sex is most people's like downfall. You know what I'm saying? Like most people, like if they had to like do
Kellie and Janessa are both virgins. We know that.
That's right.
Because they're not married, so obviously they're good girls.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But what does that take away from life at the same time? You know what I mean? Like,
Anyways, so so like
I just want to call them.
I like Terry's point. I agree with Terry's point.
yeah, I'm sure you do. But the fact of the matter is that most people, I didn't say any names. All I said was most people. Okay, is that that's our biggest struggle when it comes down to like backsliding, doing something. Like most people, like if you go like clean doing something, like they can stop drinking, they can not go to the club or whatever else is considered like wrong in the eyes of the church. But like even with like pastors, you know what I'm saying, who just say maybe single or even like just married men in general, you know what I'm saying, or married people in general, like like sex is like really, really like a big deal in people's lives. You know what I'm saying? Like, it just really is.
I would put lust in there too, because I'm
sure
the sin. So
Well, lust, that's what we're talking about.
Yeah, it's all love.
Yeah.
Because even if you don't have sex, from my understanding, like if the Bible says like if you look at a woman and
lust after, right?
that's wrong too. So
Well, yeah, there's a sharp difference. I've always said that lust is about sex and love is about cuddling after. You know.
Can I ask y'all a question? Do y'all think that there's a possibility that the sins that are presented in the Bible are more or less letting us know like why we're wrong as opposed to what we should not be doing wrong? And this is why I say that. No human being has a choice whether they want to sin or not. Like everybody is going to sin at some point in time in life.
We're sinners from birth.
So right, so there is no form or fashion of you living a sin-free life, which is the whole point of Jesus dying, believing, being saved, so on and so forth, right? Okay. So for us to then read the Bible, go to church, whatever, and then learn about the things that we should not do, like
well,
once again, is this more or less like just the information, you know what I'm saying, or is this really like?
Well, it's a numbers game.
You should start now.
It's a numbers game because when you get raised in that environment, like I remember I was 16, right, and we used to go and pray for forgiveness for the sex that we were gonna have that night. You know what I mean? Like we hadn't done it yet, but we were like, we're gonna ask forgiveness for the sin that we haven't committed yet.
I used to do it during foreplay when I was a teenager. I would pray. I'd be like, God, forgive both of us.
Yeah, but I mean, like, how is that? Like, if you commit a sin and then you ask for forgiveness afterwards, that's one thing. But that's the kind of stuff that seeped into our mind. Like, if we say, look, we're weak and we're gonna do this and we're sorry, but we're still gonna do this.
But the thing
like,
about it is, isn't the sin forgiven when you accept Jesus Christ? Like, because technically, like you're really just saying you're sorry for your own guilt. You know what I'm saying? Like,
you're saying sorry. It's just the fact that you're saying sorry before you do something that seems awfully hypocritical.
Right. But I'm saying what I'm saying is even if you say it after, it's technically hypocritical as well, because once you accept Christ into your life, like your sins are forgiven, the ones that you've already done and the ones that will come. So technically, when you're saying sorry, like that's not you, because a lot of people think that saying sorry is repentance, and that's two totally different things. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like repentance is literally like a change of a mindset. It has nothing to do with apologizing. And so the point that I'm making is like when we say sorry, that's just because like we're getting over our own self-guilt. Like we're sorry that we did it, but our sins are already forgiven prior to saying sorry, whether you say it before or after. Is the point that I'm saying.
Then we have to take into account, we can't just go off of modern day Christian values, the evangelical side. We got to look at the other religions. Like, for instance, Catholicism has a penance, is what they call it. Penance, which means you can commit a sin as long as you're willing to absolve yourself by doing some work after. You know what I mean? Oh, you cheated on your wife. That's 80 Hail Marys. Okay, you're just essentially paying for your sin. Oh, I'm gonna have sex before marriage with my girlfriend. Okay, that's 20 Our Fathers. You know, you're paying for your sin with your efforts. So where does that factor in?
I'm not Catholic. I don't know. I can't.
Well, my girlfriend's Catholic, so I get to, and my ex-wife is Catholic, so I got to the scoop on all of it.
Well, so Kellie and Janessa, what about y'all? What are y'all thoughts? I know we're dominating this conversation. Y'all are backing off.
I know. We've put our male patriarchy in front. It's time for the ladies to say.
We did it. We did the recap and gave y'all all that credit for growing. Y'all back to square one. Y'all shut that down.
Well, Kellie was late. In our defense,
we got back on
fulfill time until Kellie got here.
I was late. But I mean, I think, and I don't know if this is to your point or not, but to the question, in the instance of sex before marriage, is it actually a sin? Yes. Do I think it's something that, like you said, most of us struggle with? Most of people, not us, them, y'all, struggle.
Oh, not you and you and
you don't see the
Janessa.
halo,
right?
Right. No,
something that y'all struggle with.
Yeah.
Yes. I think it was interesting, you know, when you talk about our sins being forgiven before we ask for forgiveness or before we say sorry. I think that's where the God knows my heart comes from. Where in reality we just want to do what we want to do when we want to do it.
And God knows that. That's your heart.
Isn't that just the same thing as saying
that's your heart?
And see, but I guess
isn't that the same thing as just saying be a good person? And it doesn't matter about the rules.
Hold on, Terry. Hold on. Go ahead.
Right, you know, and so I and that's real. I did not think about it that way. You know, I thought about it as God knows that I want to be a good person. I don't want to sin and I don't want to do what's right, but I sin, and so this is my sin. Versus God knowing my heart that this is my sin and I'm going to sin. So I don't know. I mean, to answer the question, I think that's something that is consistently a sin. Sex. I think weed may be a little more debatable.
That's debatable.
Drinking alcohol, not to drunkenness. I think the Bible does say not to get drunk.
Because how would Jesus turn water into wine and then say it's a sin if he hasn't committed any sin?
Yeah, no, Jesus drank wine all the time. They all did.
But did he ever say that he drunk it though?
He didn't drink it, but I agree with you, Kellie. It says not to drunkenness. So
right, not to drunkenness.
I mean, God also put the tree in the garden and told them not to eat, knowing them niggas gonna eat it. You feel what I'm saying?
It's not even that. It's basic life lessons. You know, like if you want to have the best life, follow these rules. You know what I mean? Only because, like, let's take sex before marriage. Is a relationship easier if you've only been with each other and that's it, and there's no baggage, no history? Of course it is. So maybe that's a good lesson. Maybe don't get drunk and stumble around. Yeah, your life would probably be easier if you didn't. You'd probably mess up a lot less, and you know, you'd probably be a lot more fulfilled. It's kind of like
stuff like this. But what about stuff like this? What about like when two people randomly get drunk, screw each other, they have a baby out of wedlock, they hate each other's guts, but this baby turned out to be the president of the United States or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Or they beat Martin Luther King or whatever. The point I'm making is, listen. The point I'm making is that like no human being can be who they are without their parents getting together and making them. You feel what I'm saying? And there's a lot of cases where in life that happens from dysfunctional situations. You know what I'm saying? Like even dark stuff. So the point that I'm making is like, I feel like we can sit here and kind of say like, yeah, like this is what we're supposed to do, whatever like that. But then this goes right back to the whole conversation about the whole like free will and choices and stuff. Like,
well,
with the tree in the garden, but knowing they're gonna eat from it. Like none of life wouldn't even be what it is right now without whatever started.
Well, you're talking about coming out of a bad situation. What does it say? God can turn all things for good.
But listen to what I'm saying. It's not about something turning into good if you already know it's going to happen. You know what I'm saying? I think it just automatically works out good because that's how you create it. Like you can create good in misfunction when you're the creator. You feel what I'm saying? Like because even just like with David, like David was this guy, you know, man after God's own heart, all this stuff, you know. But he was ordained to be king as a child, and then he became an adult, and that's when he screwed up. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like he screwed up as an adult, and what I'm saying, but that never diminished like who he was to God. You know what I'm saying? And the whole thing about it is, could he have been exempt from that? Could he have not made that one mistake, or because he is a human like everybody else, he had to have done something?
Well, that's the butterfly effect. You know, is if he would have changed any aspects of his life, he wouldn't have been the person he would have been.
But could he though? That's the real question. Can he even change any aspect of his life, or do you literally live the life that God ordained you to have?
I don't know. We're getting real existential.
Well, I'm saying because that plays into sin though. Because once again, like we have instructions to not sin, but yet we don't have a choice to not sin.
Well, yeah, but that's the thing.
We're playing spades with all heart.
Well, that's the thing is when you look at everybody who has sinned, but their sin led them to be a better person later, that goes back to that God can turn all things for good. It's
Right,
just depending on it depends on us. It depends on what we want to do, the choices we make. Do I want to do this forever?
It's not. But a choice that we can't make is to not sin, which is the point that I'm making.
Well,
like nobody cannot sin.
We can choose to not sin all the time.
Yeah, I'm not talking. Listen to me. I'm not talking about a continuous thing. I'm just talking about in general. You cannot enter the earth and then leave this earth without at least committing sin. Like that's at least what the Bible.
Well, I understand, but
right, that's what the Bible says. So what I'm saying is, but at the same time, you're then provided with instructions on what you should not be doing. So what I'm saying is, if you're going to do something that already has instructions that exist that what you should not be doing, but you don't have a choice but to not do it. Yeah, I mean, you know what I'm saying. So like when it comes down to sin, like is it? Are you really should be punished for a sin that you don't have a choice but to commit? You know what I'm saying?
Well, yeah, but that was what the crucifixion was for. The crucifixion was that every man was a sinner. We all went to hell.
Okay, let me ask you.
God gave his only son.
This is my last question.
So that we could be forgiven.
This is my last question. Speaking of crucifixion, I'm done. Do y'all think, and this is just no right or wrong, your thoughts. You don't have to try to put no funk on it. Okay, to try to put. Do y'all think that before Adam and Eve entered the garden, did Jesus and or God already know that he was going to have to come to earth and die for our sins?
It's a good question.
That is a good question. I have no idea.
No, I don't. I don't believe in predestiny. I don't believe in predestination. I don't believe that everything has been thought out ahead of time. I think that God played his cards and then made his choices because that's what the book says. You know, he evolved and changed as we did. And I think that's why it says that, you know, God created man for his own delight. You know, he basically created us like you would create an aquarium, you know, right, and put us in here and see what we're going to do. And our decisions, because we have free will, our decisions are going to make just as much of difference as his decisions. The only difference is he's the one with the skimmer and the food and the filter, and we're the ones just swimming around.
So you think he created an earth that he has no idea what's going to happen on it until it happens?
I don't think he knows what's going to happen. I think he knows everything that could happen, but at some point it's got to be on us, because without that, we don't have free will, and we're guaranteed to have free will under God. So at some point, we're deciding what fate we want to go to. You know, if I wanted to go out and do meth, I'm in Vegas. I'm sure I could find it. There was a guy tried to hand me a guy. I was standing outside of a restaurant where I was having lunch today, and a guy tried to hand me a big handful of cocaine, and I chose not to. Yeah, I chose not to take it because I'm not going to take weird, harsh drugs from a person on the strip randomly.
Yeah, but that has nothing.
But there's a word. Hang on, but if I would have taken it, that would have altered my course. That would have altered.
But I'm saying, but that has nothing to do with sin, though, because you didn't make that decision whether you took it or not. That wasn't based off of your relationship with God. You was just like, yo, I'm not taking this from a fucking stranger. That had nothing to do with like sin, though. So that's not the
no. Look, if you believe in God and you believe that God is real, then everything you do and everything you are is in combination with Him. Your relationship should be 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. If that's what I'm saying. If God is real, we should be devout as much as we can be. If He's not, then that's something we made to make ourselves feel better.
But you know what's so crazy about God being real is that like He's real to like everybody in so many different ways. You know what I'm saying? Because like while you make a definitive argument why you don't feel like predestiny is a thing, somebody else can feel like it is. You know what I'm saying?
No,
and,
that's free will.
But listen what I'm saying. But at the same time, y'all are still talking about like, the same God. It's like for me, like. That's kind of, I ain't gonna say it's scary, but that's like interesting. You know what I'm saying? Because like everybody's trying to take it to the same place per se, but everybody has their personal whatever. I don't know if it's opinion, I don't know if it's relationship, I don't know if it's fact, but everybody has that when it comes down to what they believe.
It's kind of like
it is to be with God. Hold on one second. They all have that. So like for me, I guess. When I'm asking about the whole sin thing, the reason why I keep even tying it to like the whole predestined, whatever, because even when you make the point about all things work together for the good, yeah, but that the rest of that says for those who are called according to His purpose. So like the people who are called according to His purpose didn't call themselves; He called them, which wasn't a choice that they made. You feel what I'm saying?
No, they had a choice. They could have answered the call and let it go to voicemail.
Listen. Whether it didn't say for people who answered the call, it said for people who are called according to His purpose, which means He has a purpose, and there are people who are called according to that who did not make that choice to be called according to it. You feel what I'm saying?
But they have the choice to answer or not.
Listen to me. So when they didn't get called according to when they didn't choose to be called according to that purpose, that didn't stop them from being called, and that didn't stop His purpose. So obviously He has some type of plan, and He's going to make sure that all things work together for the good of those.
No, we have free will.
Specific those who apparently don't have a choice.
But we have free will. That's the thing.
But listen,
if somebody calls my phone right now,
you made your point about the free will.
I'm just saying if somebody calls my phone right now, I can't stop the fact that they're calling me, but I can choose to pick up or not.
Terry, listen what I'm saying. The point that I'm making about this whole predestiny and free will is because when it comes back to sin, okay, no matter what predestined or whatever you want to argue, we're going to talk about what the Bible is talking about. The Bible does tell us that all will fall short of when it comes down to the glory of God. All will sin and fall short of the glory of God. All. 100%, right? You cannot do anything to take yourself out of being in that all. Like you're going to be in the all. Period, point blank. Now, this is what I'm saying. Now, at the same time, you then can be punished for something that you are forced to do. That's what I'm saying. So when it comes down to this whole sin thing, it's very interesting to me because yes, there are blatant things in the Bible that say adultery, fornication, honor thy mother and father, honor, whatever, blah blah blah. Don't serve two gods, so on and so forth, right? But then we have all these
cherry picking
that go on in life, and then we determine if we agree with it or not, and then we make it a sin. You feel what I'm saying? But
I feel what you're saying. You're just cherry picking.
What I'm saying, listen, hold on. This is my last point. What really is a sin? Especially if there was already a purpose, especially if Jesus already knew, or at least God already knew, somebody knew prior to Adam and Eve entering the garden that Jesus was going to have to come after them and then die on the cross. If he didn't know that beforehand, that means he found out late in life, which is wrong. That's if I'm King Jesus and I gotta find out later on, like, hey, you gotta go down here and die real quick.
Is this a monologue?
No, I'm being serious. I'm saying you got to think about what it is that we're talking about. We look at sin on such a surface level. Oh, you at the club, you sinning. Oh, you watching Love and Hip Hop, you sinning. Oh, you so sipping wine, you sinning. Oh, but on the deeper level.
Okay, let's hear from the ladies.
So my comment is during the next conversation, or not the next conversation, on one of these conversations, I think we all need to get high first, because I think in the prior conversation about the impact of weed and how it makes you kind of, keep going, and this cognition, intellectual, I think that's why me and Janessa may get left out.
Vanessa, you
We're not
okay?
on the same level as y'all.
Are you okay?
But I get that, and I get that.
Here.
I get that, but I promise
All right, Rudy,
you, I think about this stuff
10
so.
minutes.
But you also smoke a lot too. So
Yeah.
Right, but okay.
What
just-
Rudy's
but-
doing
No,
right
I
now
got
is
you.
known
No, but
as
this is my question for
rambling.
Kelly. This is my question for Kelly though. What I'm saying is, but does anyone? I am rambling, but is what I'm saying not making sense? Is what I'm asking.
No, it isn't at all.
You're not black or a woman. I'm talking to. I'm talking to Kelly.
Oh, okay. That's
I'm saying if it's not, that's fine. I'm not trying to force it. I'm just asking. Like, did it not make sense?
You know what it is? It's Christmas
Wow.
presents all over again.
Still answering.
That's what this is.
You're still answering.
Christmas presents all over again.
I hate to say this, but I missed parts of it. So yeah, I can't answer.
It's just simply we have no choice but to sin, but in turn we can also be punished for sinning. Is what I'm saying. Because we all have to sin, being here on earth.
You'd be a good Catholic.
We have
If
all
that's-
sinned and
If
fallen.
that's your
short of the glory of
stance,
God.
you'd be a good Catholic.
So yes, I think I understand. Yes, so I understand your point. Yes, we're all forced to sin. We're going to sin. That is biblical. That is just what we do. If we did not sin, then there would be no need for Jesus, because he died for our sins. So we all going to sin. Yes, are we going to get punished for our sins still? Yes, it looks different for different people. You may do the same thing 20 times before you have the consequence of getting pregnant because you've had unprotected sex before you were married and you weren't ready to have a child, or whatever the consequence to the sin may be. So yes, I see your point in we're all going to sin. That's the way the world is. But we're also, yes, there are punishments to the sin. But and we had this conversation before about free will versus things being predestined on a different podcast. I do believe that the Lord knows what we're going to do before we do it. And so whatever that consequence to the sin is.
But how can you have free will? If he knows what you're going to do before you do it, then where's your free will?
We had this conversation. I can't remember how it ended.
I'm gonna go back to it every time.
Yeah, I can't. I'll have to re-listen to it to see if I can see how we.
Well, that's what I always say is like he knows all the directions that you're gonna go, and he hopes you pick the right one. But you could pick the middle one, or you could pick the worst one. But he knows where they're all gonna end up. He's hoping you make the right choices.
My final question for you, Kelly. So, with your analogy about the whole punishment in the baby. So, being that you believe that God, just say you believe in predestiny and God knows already. So, is that baby technically punishment, or is that baby just a baby that God already knew was going to exist?
I mean, I think it's a consequence to your action. So there's consequences to behaviors, be it good consequence, bad consequence. And so
what I'm saying is but can it be a consequence if it's already predestined to happen? I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, I think because it's still a consequence to your actions. Because if I hadn't had sex, I wouldn't have had the baby. So it's still a consequence, even though the Lord knew that it was going to happen. I think so.
So it's a forced consequence.
I knew you were going to make this choice. you know, and this, you know, and this is what happens, you know, and there's some people who, you know, have sex with hundreds of people and never get pregnant and never have STDs and never, you know, and never have any of those consequences, you know, but then, you know, I don't know, whatever, you know, but yeah, I feel like the Lord knows all of that beforehand, but I think there's a consequence to behaviors, period. Yeah, I don't know if I answered your question, but
Does the Lord know you and Janessa are virgins?
Oh,
yes,
stop it. Stop it with all that.
Yes, he does.
Lord knows my heart.
Right. Gotcha.
Well, that's terrible.
Gotcha. I like how y'all stuck with it, too. Y'all stuck with it no matter what. Y'all don't care.
I think we all got to get high. I just think we just all one day. I'm not a smoker to the listeners.
I think that life is tough, and whatever you need to get you through it and to get you happy and to make you enjoy yourself and enjoy your life, that's a good thing. It's just wherever you got to, we're all trying to get to the same place. It's like when you think about water. Sometimes water is a solid, sometimes it's a gas, sometimes it's a liquid, but it's all just water at the end, and we're just trying to get to the same place. You know, we just want to be happy, you know, live our lives and whatnot. But once it's how you get there, no, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Sometimes people take different paths and they poison themselves trying to cheat things or trying to cut the system or whatever. But, you know, and it's tragedy and you hate to see it, but we're all just trying to get to the same place. Just some of us take the good path, some of us take the bad one. That's just it. I could have taken the handful of cocaine that was offered to me, but I didn't because I don't want that path. That's it.
Well said, Terry. Well said. All right. Yes, ma'am.
All I was gonna say is
I want you to say a lot. You
the
haven't
point
talked
that I
the whole
was going
time.
to bring was not about none of this. The point that I was going to bring to the conversation today was about tattoos and piercings, but we didn't get there. So,
well,
You can
speak on it.
drop a quick 5 minutes.
No, speak on it. You got 2 minutes. Go. Speak on it.
So I don't know. I feel like somewhere in the Bible it does talk about we're not supposed to have tattoos and piercings. I don't know the reasoning why, but I have 7 piercings. So
Well, that might have to do with the Old Testament, because the Jewish believe that if you get tattooed, you shouldn't be buried in a Jewish cemetery. That's a rule. Is if you're tattooed, if you mark your skin, then you can't be buried in a Jewish cemetery. Which that's kind of old school, but that's one of their things.
That's not going to be her problem regardless, Terry.
But no, yeah, that's not going to be my problem.
Right, but are tattoos and piercings the same thing?
Right, but she's not.
In terms of the conversation, that was something that I was kind of always on the fence about because my parents, you know, got my ears pierced when I was little. But is it a sin or not? Because
your parents going to hell for that. I just wanted to know that. Your parents going to hell for that. You got your ears pierced when you were younger. That's the ultimate sin.
I'm just saying though, there's a lot of parents who get their kids, their babies.
Yeah,
young.
Which is not
every Mexican family ever. Yeah.
So that was something that I feel like I learned later in life was a sin. I don't know if it really is or not, but that was brought to me that, oh, you're not supposed to get piercings. You're not supposed to have tattoos. And I'm sitting here like, well, I'm not the one who got my ears pierced when I was age. Now the other 5 piercings, the other 5 was on me.
Right.
But you know, that was what I was gonna say before we went on this huge tangent today.
Do you have tattoos as well?
I don't.
Oh, gotcha.
I'm scared. I'm the type of person.
Yeah, that's a good question. Who has tattoos?
I would get one and then like a week later be like, yeah, I don't like this no more. Can we take it off?
Willie, Rudy, you got tattoos?
Hella tattoos.
I was like, really? A lot of tattoos.
Really? How many do you have?
I have no idea. My entire back is covered. My entire chest, shoulders, arms, legs, stomach.
Get a ladies a show.
I
Not
want
us.
to see it.
Oh,
Not
I
us.
wanna
Ladies.
show.
The other 500 viewers watching.
Take it off for all of our 500 viewers.
Other 500 viewers watching it. Keep them coming back.
Keep them coming back.
Well, no, Kellie, you're not off the hook. You inked.
No, and only because I'm scared of needles.
Yeah, but it's not anything. I have one, but that's it.
Okay.
And it's not anything. It didn't even. It's.
You have one where, Terry?
Oh, right here.
Oh, what is it?
This is a
ladybug.
It's a.
Why you say it like that?
It is. No, she's right. It is.
A lady.
It's a lady.
She was disappointed.
It's a ladybug semicolon.
So yeah.
I thought that was a hurricane.
No, the semicolon is a symbol for suicide awareness.
It is.
And the ladybug is my mom. Because her name was June, but everybody called her Junebug.
Oh.
Right. She died of suicide, and so that one just.
We're not laughing at that. Are you familiar with the Junebug challenge, Terry?
No, what's the Junebug challenge?
It's a dance. I'll send it to you.
Okay, I wish you would, because like especially I'll forward it along to my sister. She's big on the like she took on the whole ladybug persona. Like you walk into her house, and you know how like some people like frogs, or some people like this, or the bats, or whatever, and they do their whole decor. That's what she is with the ladybugs. And
that's sweet.
Yeah,
sweet.
My grandma really liked elephants, but she wasn't a Delta.
This actually, became this.
I'm not in Delta.
I designed this, right? But it actually became kind of a family crest because my sister got it tattooed on her leg, and then my niece got it tattooed on her arm. So it almost became like our new family crest.
Yeah. Did you get them both at the same time?
No, we didn't get them done at the same time.
No, I'm talking about
me and my sister got them done at the same day.
Okay.
On the 10-year anniversary, we did it together. But then my niece came 2 years later after that.
Gotcha.
So.
But you got both of those tattoos on your arm on the same day.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, she got one on her leg. I got one on my arm. The same design. So.
Gotcha. Oh, that's sweet.
That's cool.
Yeah.
No, it is. It was a nice. It was a nice bonding moment between.
Yeah. That's nice.
Hmm?
That's nice. But yeah, I think, did I answer? No tattoos, no extra piercings other than my earrings, but not on some biblical sinful stuff. Just on some.
Live your life.
Just
live your life. God doesn't care if you have.
Get a gold girl or something.
I wanted to get Lee on my arm, but everyone keeps telling me they're stupid.
That is. Lee on your arm.
No, just make it something.
Like, what are you gonna forget your last name?
Right. Like,
but it's gonna change at some point. It's gonna
right.
No, make it something meaningful, something important.
My last name is meaningful.
Okay.
Yes, I mean, but get out of Hannah, girl. Just get it.
I mean, it gotta
let it go.
be dope ass font or something. It can't just be just.
Where are you gonna get it? Like right here, Lee.
I was thinking like here.
Lee. Yeah.
Can't even see it. You
What
just want to
happens
get
when
it.
you get married?
That whole little pearl bracelet gonna cover it.
Your Apple Watch is gonna cover it.
Or I just get Lee down here.
No, ma'am.
Nah, fam.
Not sexy.
Well, I'm gonna have to get out of here. I gotta go get ready. I got a dinner reservation at Hell's Kitchen.
Man, we don't want to do that shit.
Yeah.
Terry, if I cash like $5, Terry, I'm for real. If I cash like $5, can you go play something for me?
I will. Yes, I'm gonna $5. What do you want? You want a long shot bet that'll win you 10,000?
I want that one.
Okay.
I'm gonna just cash out some money.
You're probably gonna lose. There's a good chance that you're just gonna lose. Or we can go 50-50 like I always do. Go to the blackjack or the roulette table and just say $100 on black. because Wesley Snipes told me always bet on black, and I've never forgotten it. So, that's Passenger 51. That's back in my day. But
oh yeah, the plane movie.
yeah, the plane movie. That's it. The
I
plane
watched
movie.
it.
Right. No, the quintessential plane movie. But so ever since then, that's the thing I've done. So you can win $5, or you can take your $5 and try to win 10,000. So
Just send me your Cash App in the group chat, and I'm gonna send you some money.
no, it's my gift to you. It's fine.
Well, speaking of sinning, these gamblers here, never
I
want to
feel
bring
like we're
that
all
up,
gambling
guys.
with our future
Never
on
want
this.
to bring that up, huh, guys? You can follow our sinful asses at the worst ones PK. Obviously, none of us, no matter what is a sin, we're all doing it in some form of fashion. Okay, we doing something, gambling or something. Nah, man, but we lit. I don't care what y'all say. All right, deal with it. So you can find Kelly. Oh, Kelly, go ahead. Tell them where you can find that.
At the worst ones PK THEWORST.
It's on the screen. The worst one's PK.
Just in case they're not listening. I mean, just in case they're not watching. So, Spotify,
If they can't
Apple
deal with the
Podcasts.
worst one's PK, then I don't know what to tell you.
Just wanted to let them know. Break it down for them.
I'm gonna come around, hit you with a tack hammer. That's what I'm gonna do.
Lord have mercy.
You can find me at Terry Wayne Comedy on all social media platforms.
Janessa, you can find me at Melanated Brews, all social media platforms.
All of them. All of them.
I like the Social Brews. I've been watching them. I've been
thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Gotcha.
Y'all
Supports
like
black
it. Kelly and Rudy. Yeah, Melanated Brews.
I go there if I don't Instagram right now. I go follow it.
I do follow it.
Well, Janessa, if you're coming out here, you should look around because there's quite a few breweries and
I'm excited.
places. Yeah, there's quite a few coffee places and breweries and local things. You should definitely check it out. Also, if I didn't mention it this before, weed is legal here. You can just go and buy it at a store.
And it's not a sin.
It's not a sin. It's not a sin at all.
Because it's illegal. Because it's legal, right?
We've all watched Friday. This is from the earth. God gave this to us.
Right. Friday is the example that we need for life. Gotcha.
That's right.
So we can finally end this podcast. Until next time, we out.
I went and liked all of Melanated Brews